Hello, everyone. I'm Joseph Hill. Hi, I'm from Boston. Boston has a user group, and so should you. I hope that, I just wanted to share the story of how we got a user group and encourage you to think about having one too. So, how do I advance? Okay. So a year ago, I was like you, attending GodotCon, and I found it very exciting to be around community, and I wanted to have more of that back home. So I went back to Massachusetts to see if I could find a user group. And I found that space button's never going to advance the slide. Anyways, I found that the Godot website hosts user group listings, and so if you start a user group, you can add your user group here, but there was no dot anywhere near Massachusetts when I was looking. So a lot of these blue dots are virtual groups, so if they're near you, you should join, and the red ones should be physically meeting. So I went to look within the local community to see if there was going to be anybody interested in this. And luckily I found in Boston we have a pretty active game developer community. And Boston Game Dev is a meetup that hosts indie groups and postmortems and special interest groups and things like audio game development. And so I found that group to join to see if there were any meetings worth visiting. And they also had a Slack, and that Slack had a Godot channel. So I popped in there, and amazingly, that's exactly what they were talking about at the time. It's like, hey, it looks like we need a BOGO. We need a Boston Godot group. And I said, I want that too. Let's make it happen. So we went to find a venue, and in our case, we found Microsoft has offices in New England called the NERD, the New England Research and Development Offices. And they have specific space for doing this kind of thing. And last year at GodotCon was also at Microsoft, so a piece of advice I'll throw out there if you're thinking about making a user group happen, you can check Microsoft, probably Google and Amazon probably have similar type ideas. But their space is free, and they just make it available to the local tech community in places where they have that. If that didn't work, I'm looking at what other places where the Boston Game Dev group hosts their meetups. You can find spaces at libraries, universities. You can usually find places that are willing to sponsor like a co-working space because they want to get their name out there to indies. Some of the groups happen, if you're small enough, you can just meet at a bar or a restaurant. That's totally legit too. So this is the format that we picked, and the important thing to me was that we would have a meeting that would happen every month. Like having that consistency of knowing that you can expect the group to be happening just makes it part of your routine for lots of different reasons. So we try very hard. I used to be very religious about like, hey, it will always be on this date and we won't move it unless it's like Christmas. And as soon as I announced that to the user group, we had the total solar eclipse happen at the next meeting. I'm like, okay, we're going to move it for that one, but just this one. Anyway, so we try to meet consistently, but we like this format because, basically at 6 o'clock we can start talking to people, but people can drag themselves in late. At 6:30 we kick off some lightning talks. We don't have as rigid of a time frame as is enforced here. They're probably telling me I have like seconds left. Anyways, I'm kidding, I have a little more time than that. So the lightning talks, we usually can get in about 6 talks. We leave plenty of time for Q&A. We leave time for networking afterwards. We're thrown out of the building at 9 o'clock. But you can have a fair amount of good, healthy conversation in this time. So, just throw that format out. Use whatever format works for you. For our lightning talk specifically, we strongly prefer people do demos, not slides like this. This is terrible. I would never want this at my group. But people tend to get more engaged and more excited if you're able to show off what you're doing, and it also lends itself to not having to prepare as much. Like if you're a game developer and you're just coming each month and showing what you're working on, it provides a good incentive to make some progress and have something to show, and it's kind of a low stress way to show it. So we focus on demos. And like I said, we leave time for Q&A. And lightning talk's always running long. I'm going to just say that. So anyway, so these are some of the past talks that we've had in the past year. I'm not going to read them. You can look at those. But these were popular at the time. A lot of show your game. Here's some pictures I took. They may look the same, but these are different events. But we've had attendance from I would say like 30 to 50 attendees. Like our first group was 30, we had 50 at probably our most popular event, and as low as like 5, like in the middle of the winter in Massachusetts. It's hard to convince people to get out and travel, so like 5 or 6, and that's no big deal. Like whoever shows up, that's the right people. I didn't take pictures when we only had 5 people though. We recently started having a form up so people could pre-sign up for the lightning talks because nobody ever really knows, if they're going to be committed to it or not. So I have just put up a simple Google form to get some information, and it's first come, first serve. So you can go fill out this form, and you're on the list. You can show up at the event and just put your name on the list there. We put the names on the whiteboard, and you have a good sense of how many talks and how many talks follow you. So you can, kind of have your time constrained to that. I like this question I have at the bottom. Will you keep it under 5 minutes? There's only one answer. It's yes. Yes, you will. But nobody does. So anyways, this is a list of potential topics. You can freeze frame or whatever and come back. No way I'm reading this. But this actually came from one of the groups we were at. We didn't have enough talks. And we're like, well, why don't we figure out what people can talk about? So we'll put together a list for future. These were all tech topics, followed up by a fair number of what else is interesting to Godot developers outside of that. So it's a healthy list of, there's always something to talk about at a user group. Other advice I'll give is that you should have a backup plan because, people show up and they aren't necessarily ready to speak. They don't have something to speak about. You don't know if they're going to, sometimes it takes people a little bit of hearing somebody talk to decide, I know what I want to talk about. So people add their names to the list even after the group has started. And so coming with a topic you can speak about yourself really helps just to make sure that you can kind of get things rolling. Guest speakers is kind of my closing talk. We managed to get Adam to come speak to our group last year. That was great for marketing because we had something to really tell the world, like, hey, Godot has a user group and you should come see it. That's when we hit over 50 attendees, and it was a good visibility event. And part of the reason I want to have this session here was to encourage everybody to, create your own user group, and we can find the speakers and find people that want to talk, and we can share them out. I'm on the last slide. I got it. Anyways, in conclusion, this talk is about getting you to think about having a user group. You should have a user group. If you're wondering who should have the user group, it's you. Go make it happen. Talk to people here. People here want to meet with other people, and good luck. Good luck with your user group. And I'm around. If you have questions, let me know. Thanks, everyone.